If you're new to pickleball, or heck, even if you're not new to pickleball and you've been playing for a long time, you might not be familiar with the blocking shot or an underspin shot. It's more of a block than an underspin, but your paddle face is slightly open. The blocking shot looks like this. You get the ball coming in, whether or not you're hitting a volley or letting it bounce, and you take your racket back just to here. That's it. It's just that. And when you swing, you do so in a smiley face. I made a short about this. It's a smiley face. It's a slightly down motion and then back up. That's all it is. It's, for the most part, the ball doesn't have any spin on it. It's flat. It has a little bit of spin because your racket face is slightly open, but for the most part, it's a flat shot and it's called the block. It's a blocking shot. You can hit it on a return serve or you can just rally with it. This shot is the most underutilized shot in pickleball. I've watched pro pickleball matches. I've watched amateur pickleball matches. A random person on a pickleball court, I've watched their matches. Nobody really hits this shot. If they did, they probably win all of their matches, even the pros. Instead, the pros, other people, your neighbor Karen, not the one who stole that Phillies ball, but your other neighbor Karen, everybody's trying to hit topspin. They're hitting the topspin flick is what I've seen it's called. It's just a volley. I don't know what the flick is, but the topspin flick, they're brushing up, they're trying to hit a lot of spin, and you could do that. I do that a lot. But if you want to actually win more, hitting a block is scientifically better. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. All right, first up, let's talk about time. The time it takes to hit the ball and for the ball to get to your opponent. If you hit a blocking shot, it's traveling in a straight line. There's no arc to it, meaning that it travels in a straight path and it gets to your opponent faster, giving them less time to react to the ball. It's also traveling straight out or at a slightly down angle, which decreases their time as well, but also makes them hit from below the level of the net if they're trying to return it. So it gives them less time and puts them in a worse off position. Conversely, hitting a topspin shot gives them more time. That's because you're swinging upward on the ball, and when the ball is leaving your paddle, it's traveling upward. It's traveling higher over the net and in an arc as opposed to a straight line. This is also true if you're hitting a dink or hitting a drop shot. You're hitting the ball and it's traveling at an upward arc. So I think we learned in school that a straight line or a path between point A and point B is faster or something like that. I don't know. But if you're hitting a shot and it's on a straight path versus one that's on an arc, the one on the straight path is going to get there faster. So if you're hitting a dink and the ball is traveling upward off of your paddle in an arc over the net, your opponent has all the time in the world to react to it. For these reasons alone, the pressure and speed of the shot and the angle that the ball is traveling on makes a blocking shot a better choice than a dink that puts the ball up in the air in arc or a topspin shot. So you're probably asking yourself, why would I ever even hit a upward dink or a topspin shot where the ball travels in an arc? And to that, I'd say, well, good question. You asked yourself some good questions. And the answer is actually because hitting a blocking shot, the margin for success is smaller. And that has nothing to do with your opponent. Yeah, the ball travels to your opponent faster and the trajectory of the ball is traveling down. They're hitting below the level of the net. So you're in a better position, but it's traveling over the net closer to the net, meaning that the margin for error is a lot smaller. So if you're off by just a couple inches, you're in the net. So that's why most players choose to hit, or I'm assuming they might not even know why they do it, but most players hit a topspin or a dink where the ball travels upward because they give themselves more room for error. It's not as hard to hit an effective shot. So the next question you might ask yourself, when do I hit what shot? When do I choose the block over the topspin? And again, you're asking yourself some good questions. The answer though for that is dictated by what shot the opponent hits. Most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, you can probably just hit a block and you'd be better off doing so. The other times, the ball will probably be below the level of the net to where you have to hit it up. And so in that situation, if it's below the level of the net, physically, it's impossible to block it straight over the net because you'd be hitting it into the net. So you have to, at some point, hit upwards on it. So in that situation, yes, you either have to hit an upward shot, a dink, or try to hit a topspin. But even a shot with topspin from below the level of the net, very below it, is hard to do. You'd have to turn your racket face upward just because of physics to get the ball over. But in the other instances, most of the time, you can hit a block. Or let's say you're in a rally at the kitchen and you're hitting some volleys, they're volleying back, and you're close to the kitchen line. and the ball comes in and it's going to hit the court and bounce below the level of the net. So you have two choices. You can get down low and volley it back upwards, or you can step back and let the ball bounce and contact it at its peak. That will depend on how hard they're hitting, how much spin is on the ball, and whether or not the ball can actually physically bounce and come up to waist level to where you can block it back. But even in this situation, I've watched pro matches, the ball will come in, it'll bounce up high to their waist to where they could hit a blocking shot, and instead they hit a dink. The ball goes off the racket in an arc, or they'll try to hit a flick, and at that point the ball's still going upward at an arc. So in that situation, a block is still better than trying to flick and hit topspin. Undeniably, hitting topspin, the ball is traveling off your paddle face and upward arc. It just has to happen because of the spin. So in that situation, try split stepping, backing up just a tad to let the ball bounce, gets to its peak at waist level, you can then hit the block. It'll travel at a straight line, slight downward arc, and if you hit it to the center or center at their body, it'll put you in a better position offensively than if you were to just try to hit topspin. So scientifically, the block is your best option. I mean, you could probably win way more of your matches, way more of your points with just that simple motion than if you try to hit a fancy topspin shot or you try to hit a fancy dink or drop shot. I mean, you're going to have to hit those points eventually hit those shots eventually depending on your position that you're in and the ball that your opponent hits. But when given the option, if you can hit one or the other, try the blocking shot. It's not as fancy, but it'll win you more points. For more instructional pickleball videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button.